Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Nutrition Lunch and Learn, and you are live with Sandra, your RDN, where I have the pleasure of dishing out your weekly dose of nutrition and wellness news for your mind, your body, and your soul. And I hope that you are having a wonderful week. I hope everybody had a wonderful summer. Most of us are adjusting to getting back into the groove of things, going back to school. We have those school age children. And so I thank you for taking time out to pause and to join me live. And those who are listening to the replay, I thank you for listening to the replay. I love engagement. So please, as you are logging on, say your name, where you're tuning in from, and just how your day, how your week is going. So I'm excited to come on live for you. I have a lot of good stuff in store for you over the next few weeks. So I'm excited to share all of that stuff. And we have an August theme, getting back on a routine, right? Finding that structure again. I'm going through that myself, and all about getting back on track after the summertime madness. I like to say summertime fun, summertime madness, depends on how you want to define it. But we're going to talk specifically about how to get your eating habits back on track and lose weight again. Okay. Many of us made goals in January, but they probably fell through the cracks. It's August, and so it's not too late. It's never too late, okay? Never too late. And so let's start by congratulating you if you found time to enjoy the summer months. You had the vacations, the theme parks, the water parks, eating out, just not being on the schedule, right? Just kind of letting go a little bit and enjoying that fun. And for many of us, it is over. We're back to real life. We're trying to adjust, but did that traveling, the eating, the maybe extra drinks, the pool, the cabanas, all that stuff, did it hit you? Is it sitting on you? Are you paying the price for it? Or maybe just the opposite. Maybe you did too many activities and you didn't eat much at all. So kind of, we're usually on one extreme to the next. But whatever fun you had, I have 10 surefire tips to help you to get you eating back on track, to start that process of getting it back on track, and to kickstart your weight loss, and to just get back on track and get that motivation back with your goals in general. And so as you're tuning in again, feel free to chime in, say your name, where you're tuning in from. And if you're excited about what I have coming up for you in the next couple of weeks, is that time of the year when I do a challenge. And so for those who are not aware of who I am, I'm Sandra Goltry. I am a registered dietitian, licensed nutritionist, certified personal trainer, and your accountability partner. And I simply help adults who are struggling not only to lose weight, but to keep it off, so that you have the confidence in knowing what and how to eat, as well as when to eat for your body. Wake up feeling refreshed, so you have energy throughout the day, not feeling sluggish and bloated and tired throughout the day. And most importantly, disease prevention. Avoid getting on those medications, avoid some warning signs progressing, as well as disease management, where we can reduce or even eliminate medications. And it's all about making sustainable and realistic lifestyle changes. And I'm a player coach in this thing. And I'm with you every step of the way by providing solid nutrition education, personalized recommendations, and just relevant lifestyle coaching, because we all need that. I always say we don't know what we don't know. And so again, this month's theme is getting back on track with the routine, finding that structure back again. And when August rolls around, most of us are seeking that routine and that structure that existed before school ended back in May. And so whether you have kids or not, we tend to all get affected when school is out. And we can blame it on, so many different things. But when the doors began opening and now we're out on the social activities, and we want to get out more than what we have in the past couple of years, we kind of veered off. And so we want to get back on track. And so we are going, and you're no different. We're all, you're not alone. So it happens to all of us eventually. So important thing is that we stop beating ourselves up, and we want to know how to jump back in. We always talk about getting back on the bandwagon, but for many people, that means going back to some diet that they may have lost, but they weren't able to keep it off. But it usually involves doing some type of extreme restriction. And that's what I'm here to tell you, that that's not what it's all about. That's not what the lifestyle is about. We don't want to do all these extreme restrictions. And so I want to announce what I have coming up in the next couple of weeks. And so if you're kind of struggling to get into that favorite outfit, Here's how we can get back into it. And so stay with me to the very end. I am going to give more details of my upcoming 3-day challenge, but you all will have first dibs in signing up. And so if you're curious and let's say you can't stay to the end, I am going to post in the chat. And actually, I need to open up a window so that I can chat with you guys. There we go. So now I can post live to you. So let me post this URL just in case you want to check it out while we're on the live. And then if you have any questions, you definitely are able to ask me while I'm online. So let me post this right now. And that'll give you some details on the challenge while I'm going through, but more details to come. So let's jump right on in. So I always have my poll question that I love to ask people when we're on our call. And so August theme, going back to school, getting back on a routine. If you have kids in school, whether it's college or not, they still need support. And so share this with them. And so I have a son who's in elementary school and he is starting 5th grade. And so if you have a school age kid, you have a toddler, pre-K, elementary, middle, high school, college, or you're just done, like you're done, they're out of the house, they're not dependent on you. So that's what we're all aiming for at the end of the day. But if you fell off the wagon, now what? What do we do? What do we do? And so today I'm going to help you get back on track with those goals. And you're going to have many options. I always recommend picking the ones that resonate with you first. I'm giving you 10. You don't want to do 10 all at one time. That's overwhelming. But pick some that are going to resonate with you first, okay? But the first thing I like to talk about is what we don't want to do, okay? We don't want to beat ourselves up. We do not want to turn this temporary relapse into a moral issue, okay? You're not a bad person. You're not destined to be overweight just because you slipped up, or maybe you just kind of followed some advice that just wasn't sound and it wasn't sustainable. That's not your fault. So think of the setback as a way of developing coping skills, okay? And just know that there are other ways, or healthier ways, or saner ways to get around it, okay? So that's number one. Number two, we want to learn from our experience, okay? You always want to learn from your experience. So if you don't recognize what led you to maybe falling off the wagon, then the same thing is going to continue. So it's always good to reflect, what is your trigger? We always have a trigger, okay? So write down your trigger when you overeat, when you're feeling stressed, when you find yourself just going into the kitchen or grabbing something, and plan an alternative for each, okay? For example, if parties are your downfall, don't show up starving. I always recommend do not show up anywhere hungry. A lot of times people will leave not eating because, when I get there, they're going to have food or they're going to have things prepared. Well, sometimes they don't, or if they do, it's not available as soon as you get there. So you always want to show up, having eaten something, not just showing up starving, okay? And then number three, we're going to do these in chunks. So number three, this is classic, okay? Don't try to make up for the slip up by punishing yourself with exercise, okay? Unfortunately, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis or too much emphasis on exercise. Exercise is not the be all end all. Exercise is important and we need that, heart health and movement, etc. But if your diet is not good, you can't outwork out a bad diet. If you're so stressed and overwhelmed, then the exercise can no longer help you with stress management because you're too overwhelmed, you're too extended, you're too stressed. So you're not going to get the benefits of exercise that you need to get. And then we also need to make sure that exercise is effective. So we don't want to do that. You don't want to starve yourself the next day. I've heard people only drink water, or they want to exercise for 3 hours more than what they normally do. That's not how we rectify the problem, okay? You can't just you're not going to typically burn enough calories to make up for what you ate, okay? So once we separate the purpose of exercise and the purpose for healthy eating, nutrition is 80% of the equation, okay? So always remember that. That's the part that is the foundation that we should focus on. And so which one do you need help with the most, that you feel out of this chunk of three that you feel like you need the most help with, or that's resonating with you most? Or maybe you started it and maybe kind of fell off. Which one will help you get back on track? Being more positive, having more positive self-talk, not beating yourself up for being human. Because remember, we don't know what we don't know. So a lot of times we make the same mistakes and we repeat them because we think that we're actually doing the best thing. Refrain from viewing slip ups as a setback. Okay. I used to do the same thing when I got my diagnosis of high blood pressure, when I was trying to do everything under the sun that I possibly could to not get on medications. I realized that I was really doing myself a disservice because I was trying to fix something that really couldn't get fixed. And at the time, I wasn't a dietitian, so I wasn't going about it in the proper way. And so, view it as a way for you to get educated and to make a change and as a warning, and then you come back stronger and you prevent things from happening that would have happened had you not fixed it. And that's kind of the situation that I was in. Build healthier relationship with food. Okay. We want to separate food from the problems. We want to separate food from the stress. Okay. Over time, it becomes habitual that we will run to food for comfort. When we know in our right mind, it doesn't fix anything. It just procrastinates. It helps us to kind of mask the problem, but it doesn't really solve anything. And so we want to be able to detach the two. And when we're eating healthy and when we're feeding those nutritional deficiencies, and a lot of times we will realize that we don't need to go to food to solve our problem. So think about where you fall. Okay. Think about where you fall. And then, and again, as people are chiming in, feel free to update me, chime in, any questions, any comments, aha moments, I'm here. Okay. I would like for this to serve as a two-way form of communication. And so a few more tips to help you to get your eating back on track. Number 4, look at the big picture. Realizing that weight loss requires a decrease in calories over time, but it's not an exact time. Okay. So a lot of times people really try to pigeonhole their calories and what they need to eat. And so you want to consider your intake over the week or your intake over the month. It's not that one meal. It's not that one day, because you will drive yourself crazy. Just like blood pressure fluctuates every day, your weight fluctuates every day. Everything, it will fluctuate. So you want to look at the consistency over a period of time. And that's really where you get the maximum results. So we will have good days and we will have not so good days. Okay. You'll slip up once in a while. That's not a big deal. You always make that up later in time. Okay. So that comes with, with a process. That's a process. Number five, let me put that up here. So renew your motivation. What does that mean? Renew your motivation. This is really big. When we go off of our diet or our plan or whatever that is that we call it, that it signals that your motivation has really veered off track. Okay, we've got distracted by other things, the unexpected, right? As we say today, life is life-in. So that's but it's always life-in if you really think about it. Okay, it's no different than what it has been in the past. Sit down, take stock. Okay, when you were following your plan, how did you feel? Was that motivating for you? Okay. And usually the answer is yes. I always like to say we have things that go on in life. We have our work, but that should not replace our health and our wellness and our well-being. They must marry. Okay. We must figure out how to marry, what needs to fall off, what needs to get adjusted, what needs to get added. We have to make adjustments. That's what that lifestyle process is all about. And lifestyle change is all about. And then number 6, let's talk about 6, planning ahead to keep hunger at bay. Okay. This is famous. Okay. So think about sugar cravings or emotional eating. So when you let yourself get too hungry, all bets are off. Okay. You are not going to make sane choices. Okay. Your body's going to want what it wants. It needs to be greasy, crunchy, salty, sweet. That's just the way it is. So you want to avoid that happening. You want to avoid being vulnerable. So you want to plan to have snacks throughout your day. That's the importance of snacks. Okay. Snacks have a purpose. It's not all junk food. They're bridges between meals. Okay. To satisfy you to where you're not so vulnerable to the vending machine or what somebody brings in the break room or what you see when you pass by, when you drive, while you're driving home. When you're away from your home, always carry something. You never know when things are going to get off, whether that's dried fruit, whether that's fresh fruit, whether that's if you have a cooler, you can do yogurt, you can do a trail mix. There's always things that you can carry. And even in some of the convenience stores, if you look hard enough, you don't even have to look hard. Convenience stores have gotten a lot better as far as having some form of a healthy option. Okay. There's a time you couldn't find that in convenience stores, but you definitely can find healthier choices in a convenience store. Okay. And so now with this chunk, okay, so we just have a new chunk of 3 here. The big picture. Remember, we want to see the big picture. It's not about what we're eating on that day or that one meal, what we're doing over the course of a week at least. And then renewing your motivation. Okay. What caused you to get off track? Usually it's a distraction. Usually it's something unexpected in life and it throws us off. It happens to me, it happens to everybody. But what do we need to do to keep you on track as much as possible? It's not about perfection, but it's about progression and staying on track. Always have snacks. Think about when you had those of you who have kids and used to have kids, you never left the house without the snacks in the bottles, etc. Same for us. We're no different. We're just older. So which one will help you to get back on track? Okay. Focus on weekly meal planning, not just a day, okay, or one meal. Remember your big why. Why are you trying to eat healthy? Why do you need to lose weight? Why? Okay. And crush the sugar cravings through preparation. Okay. Through preparation. Now, before we get into the last three surefire tips that I have to help you to really get back on track and to lose weight and just to feel less bloated, I want to give you some more details about the 3-day challenge that will start right after Labor Day. So it'll start September 3rd, and it is post-summer detox. And it's a 3-day clean eating challenge to help you to get your weight back on track after the summer. And it's fun food, okay? It's real food. And it will surprise you what you're going to eat, and for many people, how much you're going to eat to feel better, to give your body what it needs. Because we have to give ourselves enough gas in our tank to even function before we can even think about losing weight, before we can even think about getting healthy. So it's all about shedding those pounds, starting that process, and feeling comfortable in your clothes again. So this starts on Tuesday, the 3rd. You're going to have 3 days of delicious meals and snacks. You're going to have 3 days of oatmeal inspired powerhouse breakfast to start your day. So there's many different ways to make oatmeal. So these are going to be some things that you can add to your recipe. And 3 days of live training from me on a different topic each day that's gonna relate to helping you to make some of those lifestyle changes on your own after the challenge is over with. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and it's going to start at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. You're going to come out of this challenge feeling with a renewed motivation. Okay, mindset is everything. More energized, less sugar cravings, revving up your metabolism, jump starting your weight loss. That's what we really want to do in 3 days. You'll be surprised. I've had people lose, a lot of the bloatedness. I hesitate to say weight, but it's not just water, because you're not starving yourself and you're not severely restricting carbs, but they will feel less bloated because they're eating less processed foods and more things in their natural state and giving themselves more calories and nutrients as well. And so just to name a few, registration is open. And so all you have to do is go to this link. It is hot off the press to grab your spot. And I encourage you to invite others. Challenges are always more fun with a buddy, have that healthy competition and motivation and support, as well as support from your other fellow challengers. So I like to do things as a group. This is not just you downloading some plan and then just off on your own doing it. You will have access to myself because I'm there to answer your questions. And you will also have access to other fellow challengers who are experiencing the same journey with you. All righty. So the next one, number 7, do not deprive yourself, okay? So any questions, don't hesitate to post. So don't deprive yourself, okay? Cutting out your favorite foods is a sure enough way to trigger feelings of deprivation, which over time you're going to crave because you're going to feel like you're missing out. You're going to feel unhappy is really at the end of the day. And food is for fun and food is for nourishment. I always have to stress that, but you got to understand what that means, okay? And that goes back to the basics, and that's where that education comes from. So instead you reduce the portions or you reduce the frequency. Instead of a half a bowl of ice cream, cut it down to a half a cup. You got to start someplace, okay? To get the hit, because sometimes you just need to take the edge off, but you don't want the effects on you in your labs or your medical condition or how you feel, okay? So that's what we want to remember. And number 8, don't stop moving, okay? We got to continue to move. Even if you can't make it to the gym while life is lifing, carve out 10 minutes. You can work out in 10-minute chunks, a brisk walk during lunch, which is a great thing to do because it forces you to step away from the madness, whether that's on the job, whether that's at home, whether you work from home or going to the office. It is good to step away. Okay. Working from home, honestly, is more stressful than working in the office because we never stop, and we need to know how to set boundaries when we're working from home. So exercise helps release boredom and stress that will lead to overeating. But if we're too stressed and overwhelmed, then exercise is not able to fight that fight with you. Okay, so remember that. Remember that. Number 9, find an accountability partner. Okay, that's important. This can be a fellow weight conscious friend, or just a friend or a family member that will provide you encouragement. Okay, not somebody who's trying to shortcut something or give you a band aid, somebody who's really encouraging you, trying to make changes that will last a lifetime for you as well as for your family. Okay, and everything I do, it's not just for the person that I'm working with one on one, it spills over to their family. So there's no separate food for the one I'm working with and the family, no separate process. No, it's that's what lifestyle means. It's for everybody. Okay. And this is very important. So, importantly, accountability will help you to check yourself, when you deviate, when we have those moments where we're just not feeling it, which is many of us. So, we need somebody to help keep us going. Okay. And number 10, the final one, change your routine. Okay. Exercise, try a new class, try a new rotation, try a new workout style. Do something that's different, because your body does adapt. It gets used to, if you're doing the same thing, just like with food, if you're eating the same thing, you're getting the same nutrients, you're missing out on the same nutrients. So you're not really helping your body. You want variety, variety, variety. And the same with exercise. I call it muscle confusion with exercise. So you want to make sure that, your body's not getting used to the same weights that you're lifting. Heavy up, or add more reps, or walk faster, etc. So there's plenty of ways to ramp it up and change up your routine. Okay. And let's see here. So let's talk about this chunk. Okay. Let's talk about this chunk. So where do you feel like you need the most help out of this chunk? Stop depriving yourself. That is everybody, at least everybody that I talk to, they deprive themselves, and they've gotten so used to it that they think that that's normal, and it's not. Okay. We have 5 food groups for a reason. And in order for our bodies to perform at its optimal, in order for you to step into your highest level of health, you need to feed your body in a way that it can promote that for you. Move more, or do you even need to change your routine? Okay, because maybe you're doing something on a regular basis. So give yourself permission to eat your favorite foods in moderation. Understand what that means. And then set a workout schedule. Stay true to it unless there is truly an emergency. Okay, that's one reason why I do like group classes at a gym, because you sign up for it. You show up, you have your gym friends. You may not always feel like making it happen, but once you get there, you feel good and you're glad that you did it. And so that's what it's all about. And shake up your workouts. Okay, shake it up, have something different. Okay, and I'm going to have a lot more on that to give you at the end of the challenge as far as how to shake up your workouts. So stay tuned for that. And so the big takeaway, which people wonder why I say this as a dietitian, weight loss is really not about weight loss. Okay. As you see, a lot of these factors they're indirectly tied. They feed and fuel your food choices. Okay. And once that is addressed, because a lot of that is mental, and a lot of it's about choices that we make also. So once we feed that and get those things in check, weight loss is a no-brainer. It's going to happen, and you're not even going to pay attention to the fact that it's happening. And so that is something very important. So you want to set attainable behaviors and lifestyle goals, and that leads to developing lifelong healthy habits. It happens in time. It happens organically. It's not nothing that happens in 30 days or less, because if your life is complicated and you're overwhelmed and you're all in 1,000 different directions, it's going to take time to work through all of that. And so you have to give yourself grace. Okay. And so the environment and the conditions you live under really support your overall wellness and your overall success. And so I'm going to post again about this challenge. I'm very excited to put this on, because I enjoy having the opportunity to reach more people. And so it starts on September 3rd. And it's 3 days of RD, registered dietitian approved meals, and as well as snacks, as well as training that will stay with you beyond the challenge. So you will have things that you can continue to do beyond the challenge. Okay. It's not just those 3 days, right? And so 3 days of meals and snacks, easy to prepare. It's all about being easy. You're also going to learn how to plan and prep. You're going to have a guide step by step, so that you'll be able to take advantage of what that really means to plan and prep, and how you take advantage of being able to grab and go when your week becomes hectic and the unexpected comes in. Oatmeal inspired. We're towards the end of the year. Depends on where you're living. Of course, in Florida, it's always hot, but there's ways to make oatmeal where you can have them overnight and you can leave them cold, or you can warm them up. So you kind of have both options, but it's the design to help you to start your day off strong and not starting your day on fumes. Okay. And 3 days of live training, a different topic, and an opportunity to get some support as well, get some questions answered. So this is a great way to hit the reset button before the holidays. They're around the corner. and to feel good about yourself, and just to feel like you are still able to reach your goals by the end of the year. So this concludes what I have for this week's nutrition news for your mind and your body and your soul. Thank you for tuning in live. Thank you for listening to the replay post. I will monitor the thread throughout the week. Next week, we're going to wrap up this month's theme about getting back on a routine. We're going to talk about, is packing lunch really the best approach to avoid packing on the pound? So let's talk about packing your lunch versus eating out all the time. And don't forget to sign up for the challenge. It is wide open, okay? So it begins on September 3rd. Blessings to you, and thank you for tuning in.